Good morning. I just wanted to hop in and do a quick take on Tesla's AI Day. Frankly, most of it was way over my head, and I think it all sounds like pretty cool computing stuff, but I'm not an expert in that. But I loved how focused and technical it was for the people who do get it, and I kind of thought they were going to end there. And then when they announced the Tesla robot, I was a little disappointed. Like, at first I thought it was a joke, and then I thought, well, why are they even doing this? This is, like, all of this has been so technical and professional up to this point that, like, why would you throw this kind of sci-fi thing in there? And, Elon was talking about, well, it could do menial tasks but not be too powerful. You could still run away from it, which I think is great. That kind of stuff is important for instilling confidence. And it's probably a few years away. They were talking about a prototype next year. And so I've been following Twitter, social media, all that stuff on it. And there have been a couple posts and people saying, oh, you could use this on the moon and Mars. And that's kind of where my head went. There's the other side has been kind of saying, like, how does this fit into Tesla's mission of, transitioning the world to sustainable transportation? And really, for the most part, it doesn't. But I think what they're trying to do is, if you take a step back and look at Elon's other goals, and making life multiplanetary is one of them. Like, if the dinosaurs had a space program, they wouldn't be extinct right now, I think is something he said before. So my take is that Tesla, the SpaceX folks are really good at rocket engineering and rocket science, and they're good at doing that kind of stuff and will stay focused on that. And conversely, Tesla is focusing on more like real-world, vision-based problem solving with autopilot and the neural nets they're training for that. So in my mind, this is kind of a fusion of two of Elon's visions, using the stuff that they're already developing for the vehicles and then transitioning that into another form factor. And why... My other initial thought last night was, why does this have to be humanoid? That's stupid, because if you're building a machine to, count greeting cards, something, I used to do, you don't need it to have thumbs. It can do, there are different ways you can do that that's more efficient, and you don't need that extra motion. If you need something to go from here to there, it doesn't have to be in arms. You can put a hopper right next to it and just, feed things right through. So that was my thinking, is like, I thought it was going to be more generalized robotics for manufacturing and things like that. And the humanoid form factor seemed really backwards to me. But then I started thinking about the SpaceX applications for it. And if you want to send people to Mars, you need to know that your systems for people will work right. And the things people need to do that when they get there can be done by people. And the best way to test that is to send people, or in this case, the best simulation of people. So Tesla makes these robots. They start training them in the real world here on Earth. And, hopefully with their massive computing power behind them, they get good at doing tasks, or even are trained to do specific tasks like you would train an astronaut to do them. And then you send them to Mars. You don't have to worry about cancer, sleep deprivation, any of that kind of stuff, the effects of gravity. You send them there, and you can have them all wired up with sensors. I'm thinking of them as really crash test dummies for Mars, where they have all the sensors, understand how humans would react to the different pressures of, obviously, takeoff, but then landing on the Martian surface, how the seats would, kind of affect a person, and then how the hatches Can a person fit through the hatch? Can it do work on Mars with things humans will have to manipulate? And so you send them, and the best part about this is failure is an option. If the ship blows up on takeoff, it doesn't matter. It's robots. Sounds really mean to robots. If in a robot future that's really offensive, I apologize to our robot overlords. Spare my family. But Bert, seriously, if it crashes on impact on Mars, it's not that big of a deal. It's obviously better to discover it that way, and to again get all that sensor data back if you can. And then if a robot is, if something is a machine or a solar array or something is designed to be deployed by humans, and then they get there and the robots can't do it, and maybe it's something that can be fixed with software or a person would be able to figure it out, but you'll learn those limitations that you don't know you have by not having a person there in the Mars environment. It also, again, going back to the form factor, gives them the opportunity to potentially put these, or a couple of them, into EV suits, extra vehicle suits. And there you can test the suits, but then if the suits have heating and cooling built into them, you don't have to worry so much about the batteries for the actual robot, because if Mars is very, very, very cold, and the suit can keep the body of the robot warm in optimal battery performing functions, and that's also a good simulation of keeping a human warm, and then the batteries will last longer, so the suit does its job. And again, it's the form factor. It's going to have be manipulating in as a human would of that size. So you can learn all sorts of things about how the suits function, and also not having regolith and dust and all sorts of things actually getting into the workings of the robot. Does it transition the world to sustainable energy any faster? No, probably not. And could be arguably slower because they're using chips and resources. But I'm guessing these teams are going to diverge a little bit. But sending the robots there first also solves another problem, is you don't have to get them back. And so, like I said, if there's an issue on impact on Mars, it's not a loss of human life, and you can learn the lessons, apply it before humans are going there. But also, if the robots can't get back into the ship for some reason, there's another malfunction, you might not want them to even, other than just to test it. But then that taking off from Mars process, again, if there's an accident there, failure is an option, and it offers them a lot of latitude if they can get this working. So getting it up and running now, or in the next couple of years, testing it here on Earth with human tasks and seeing what its capabilities are, allow them to design tests and experiences that they can go ahead and do on Mars and possibly the moon. I don't know if the moon's gravity would be too low or how they would compensate for that. But this went from being what I thought was the dumbest part of the presentation to, from a SpaceX standpoint, the absolute coolest part of the presentation. So smarter people than me on the computer side will say whether or not the dojo stuff was important or significant. I don't know. That's not my forte. But as I'm seeing takes come in from people about the robot, what seemed really stupid on the front end and a distraction really kind of ties into what they could be planning for Mars and trying to hit those injection windows to get to Mars. And this is also coming on the heels of NASA saying their next-gen spacesuits won't be ready till 2025. So if they can get this up and running and hit an earlier window to get to Mars with robots, the NASA spacesuit issue or them developing their spacesuit, that kind of stuff can go by the wayside and isn't that important. Although it may not seem like it's part of Tesla's mission, like I said, I think it's part of Elon's broader mission, and failing quickly and learning, this really gives them, like I said, the option to have failure be a part of the process without harming any humans. So I think it could be something brilliant. Again, we'll have to wait and see how it plays out. But something I originally thought was stupid, I'm getting pretty excited about. So that's my hot take. We'll see how I feel in a week or so. But I appreciate you tuning in. Thanks for watching. Have a great day, and I'll catch you in the next one.